Blevins here with week 3, day 1 of the Kingpin-RTS split. It was a max effort sumo pull and block pull day, as well as a volume protocol floor press. Had a little bit more of assistance work volume today, mostly due to the hamstring curls, which add up. I think I did something like 9,000 pounds of cable work with the hamstring curls, but a good amount of barbell work nonetheless. A couple of these reps on deadlift I got forward and had to use more back than I would have liked. But all in all, pretty uneventful day as far as sumo pulls from the floor. They were pretty fast. I feel happy with the speed. That was probably the slowest rep off the floor of the day. I then decided to throw on the straps for the 3x3 intensity protocol for block pulls. 605 went really well here. It was still tough to get it started a little bit, but I was working on, especially with the straps, since I couldn't do my normal drop down and pick up the weight, really trying to put some bend into the bar before I started pulling it. Felt like I did pretty good and got in a good stable position. I would have liked to pull my shoulders back a little bit more before I started, but it's just heavy weight, kind of keeps you pulled forward even when you start. I was pretty happy with 625 for 3. I did 2 sets at that weight, and both of them went pretty well. So I'm going to keep working on that lockout and try to deal with that hitch that I had last time I went for a heavy deadlift in mock meet. Floor press felt pretty good today, 405, moved really fast, and since this was to work up to a 9 RPE, I just kept adding weight. This was the first day that my elbow had been feeling better. I actually did most of my warm-up sets actually without the elbow sleeves on, and it felt fine. Also, my back did not cramp up today for one of the first times, and I think what it had to do with is I took a little bit longer warming up. Even though I didn't do a whole lot of stretching, I did some mobility work over the weekend. But mostly I just took some time in between my warm-up sets, and I think that allowed my body to get the blood flowing, and that's what I needed today. So we'll see how that works with squats on Wednesday. But all in all, today was a good day. I did 2 sets of 3 at 435 on floor press, and I think this last rep here is more of a grinder, but it was still pretty good. I'm happy with that weight for floor press. I wanted to talk some more today. It's been a consistent theme about power and how I understand power. This is from Matthew. But what happens is James and John come to Jesus and ask for the positions of power in the kingdom that they expected Jesus to create. They expected Jesus to kind of start a military revolt to throw off the Romans and establish the nation of Israel as kind of its own sovereign nation. That's what they expected the Messiah to do. And so James and John asked for the positions of power in this kingdom. And when the other 10 disciples hear it, they're really mad about it. They're indignant. And so Jesus says to them at that point, you know how the rulers of the world, the rulers of the Gentiles, these other nations rule. They lord it over them. They use their power to dominate. And in that domination, they have their desires satisfied at the expense of others. Jesus then kind of deconstructs that notion of power and says, whoever's going to be the greatest must be your servant, because you're supposed to follow my example. And the example that Christ lays out is that he gives his life as a ransom for many. He gives up his life in a vulnerable self-sacrifice for the benefit of others. And that's a completely different way of understanding free will. It's a different understanding of how we use power as God would have us use it. Even from the very beginning, when people were made, they were to steward the earth. They were to exercise authority over it, but authority in that they took care of it, in the way a gardener has authority over the plants in the garden. So that's what I've been thinking about lately. Hope that makes sense. Blessings.